Hi, Jeevan. My mom and I were at your office today. I didn't see you. She had a hearing test.
Yeah, I was there today.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. She
Yeah,
doing
I'm
okay?
sure you're busy. Yeah, she's doing good.
Okay, good.
She does not, she's like borderline of needing hearing aids, so she opted not to get them, which is
Okay.
fine. I doubt that she'd wear them. I shouldn't be saying all this. We're streaming live on YouTube. No, she's good. She's doing great.
Good.
Hello, Rainy.
Hey, Rainey.
Hello, Eamon. Hello, Linda.
Hello, hello. Last week I had all these announcements because there was so much going on. This week, I don't think I have too many announcements. Hey, Patty. That's a good announcement. Mark just reminded me that Venerable Amy is coming and doing a weekend workshop the first weekend of April. So that'll be Friday, I think that's April 5th, if I'm not mistaken, that first Friday of April. And then all day Saturday, hey Don, and all day Sunday as well. So, but you don't have to come to all of it. You can pop in. And Sunday morning, she'll be teaching the normal, like Dharma connections. So that won't be part of the workshop, but she'll be teaching that Sunday.
Well, it's 7 o'clock. Should we start?
Let's give it another minute. I just heard the door open out there. Everett, nice to meet you. I'm Linda. Tell me your name first. I feel like I've asked you. Try and use those name tags or something. Yeah, on the landings. Yeah, they're still in those drawers out there. Okay, we can go ahead and get started then.
Okay. Well, everyone, good evening and welcome to session 4 of 6. This is the Establishing a Daily Practice. And I welcome you. Okay, let's do our prostration. I think we already know the routine now. So let's start with 3 prostrations. Thank you. Okay. A lot of small topics today, but very important ones. We'll go through some summary. I like to go through summary because, like Geshe-la says, like we do 3 mantras, we prostrate 3 times. It's no real number. Nobody says do 3 times or 4 times. The first time it's like a little blur. Second time, some things stick in. And the third time, maybe we capture a few things. So, and then there's always people joining or missed a part of it. So it's good to go through a summary and kind of aligns us again with where we are. So we'll go through summary, then we'll talk about how to protect our minds. We'll talk about how do we feed our dharma practice on a daily basis, and then a couple of little small topics in there, small topics, but they're all feeding your dharma practice. And time permitting, we'll talk a little bit about yoga of eating, yoga of sleeping. Then we'll do a meditation. It's again a little long meditation with Lamrim and seven limb prayer. And so we'll finish that and then we'll close the day today, okay? So let's do a little calm abiding meditation. Again, as Geshe-la was explaining last Sunday, if you attended his class, is breathing meditation develops concentration. It's also calm abiding, and breathing is neutral. So it's kind of nice to start the class with that. It brings our mind, calms our chatter in our mind, and it brings us to the present moment. And it's also good for concentration. So again, as you know, if you're seated on the chair, you know the 7-point position, meditation position is your back is straight, right? Your head is slightly tilted. Your hands are folded this way, and your right hand is on top of your left hand. It's about 2 or 3 inches below your navel, and your thumbs are touching. Your feet are flat. Your eyes are slightly open, and the jaw is relaxed. Your tongue is touching the palate behind the teeth on top of your mouth, and just kind of relaxed. Okay, so just kind of get in that position and scan your body, see if there's any discomfort anywhere. If you feel uncomfortable, so adjust yourself. And then take a deep breath, exhale first, and then inhale. Then exhale, then inhale. And what you want to do is keep your focus, your mind on your breath, going out, coming in, going out, coming in. Some people like to focus on their nostrils where they sense the breath, or some people like to see when they exhale, the stomach comes, out and in, out and in. So you can either way it works. So just kind of keep your mind onto it. And if you find yourself kind of wandering away with thoughts, just gently remind yourself to come back and focus on your breath. So let's do that for a minute. Thank you. And let's set our motivation for this class time here today, okay? So first, take a deep breath in and out, giving some energy to your body and mind, and visualize breathing in clean air and clear white light, and exhaling all sluggishness, contractions, obscurations in form of black smoke. And soaking in some white light, giving energy, inspiration to the mind, and breathing out all that which contradicts our aspiration. And then call to our mind our wish to do something meaningful with our lives, and recognizing that we have some kind of precious opportunity. wishing to do something with that. Then contacting that place in our heart that sincerely wants to help the situation in this world for the various beings in their various situations of existence. And the wish to be able to develop qualities of body and mind that would enable us to help in lasting ways. And so generate a wish that by hearing these teachings, we might be able to put them into practice exactly in the manner in which they are intended, and swiftly ripen the qualities of enlightenment within us. And then inviting to this place the presence of our teachers and our guides of this life, and all of the lineage going back to Sakyamuni Buddha, asking them to be present and to bless our minds as we receive these teachings for the benefits of all living beings. Okay, now bring your attention back to the class. Thank you. So we'll start with a little definition. You know, we use certain words quite often, and I felt that maybe we miss few things sometimes simply because of those words. And we talked about merit a lot today. I mean, last couple of classes, I should say. So I thought I'll go through this. Often you will hear the two accumulations. Okay, you know, when you do a certain practices, you get these accumulations. Also sometimes called as two collections. You'll see that in some of the prayers, some of the practices. So just be mindful of that. And what they are the two types of merit. They are the merit of virtue. I think Geshe-la covered that this last Sunday a little bit on merit of virtue, which develops what they call the method side of the path by practicing generosity, and I'll explain that, and so forth, and the merit of transcendental wisdom, which develops the wisdom side. So in Buddhism, when we are doing Lamrim or when we are practicing, they say there are two wings to the bird, the method and the wisdom. The wisdom, we kind of understand that it deals with how reality is, the emptiness of things. Okay, that's understandable. The method, you know, we also talk about developing equanimity and bodhicitta, right? And compassion towards human beings. And then it leads to the 6 perfections. How do we function? The method. Okay. And the 6 perfections, for some people who may have not attended the presenting the path, are the perfection of generosity, the perfection of morality, the perfection of patience, morality, and then joyful effort, and then developing concentration, developing this meditative equipoise. Okay, and these are things we can do. In other words, it's a method. Once you realize the nature of reality, these are things, as this precious opportunity provides us in this precious human rebirth, we can function. And there's a whole class on that when we do emptiness and presenting the path. We'll go through each one of them. But, you know, just quickly, generosity does not always mean money, right? Generosity is your time, helping out the spiritual, administrative people in the Kadampa, doing the bowls, sweeping the floor, helping when somebody comes, when somebody says, can you help me? All of those, your time, all those are generosity. Obviously, morality, your ethics. If you're trying to put virtuous, activities of the body, speech, and mind, all your actions, if you remember karma, the non-virtuous actions of body, speech, and mind, and the virtuous, actions of body, speech, and mind, right? So you want to develop those virtuous qualities. And that's why it's important to make sure that we understand method and wisdom. Method is how you function, and wisdom is how you understand but perceive reality. So that's what those are called the 2 accumulations. When you have that, you become realized being. Okay, and then merit. We talk about merit field. I develop merit. Can you help out? You get a lot of merits. Do something good, you get a lot of merits. Well, what is it? Well, it's a positive imprint left on your mind by virtuous or dharma actions. And it's the principal cause of happiness. It's your action. All the good things, your practices, doing daily practices, helping out, being kind to somebody, you gain a lot of merits. And just for knowledge purposes, second perfection is morality or ethics, and there are three types. Okay, one is you are restraining from wrongdoing. Okay, any kind of wrong actions of body, speech, and mind. That's the first morality. Second is accumulating the merit. We just talked about keep accumulating, do some good things. And the third one is benefiting others. Okay, so just thought it would be nice to have little definitions of few things. What are the two accumulations? What is method and wisdom? Understanding what merit is, and the three types of morality. Okay, I'm gonna just cover what we've covered so far. This is the fourth session. We've gone through 3 sessions. So it's good to kind of go through some of these things real quick. I won't take too much time on class 1. The idea in class 1 was just to understand that there is a gap between our Dharma practice and our mind sometimes. We look at Dharma as a part-time thing sometimes, or we have this such a self-cherishing eye that, oh, I've seen this before, I've heard this before. And the idea is to close that gap so you can integrate. It becomes juicy for you to bring it in your daily life. And that was the idea. And that's why we came up with that leather and butter analogy. If you remember, mind is like leather, and then Dharma is like a butter. And in Tibet, how they kind of rub the butter to the leather and make it malleable so they can make clothes out of it and all kind of things. But if they don't, if the butter just sits in the pouch, it becomes hardened. So that way you don't want to get your mind hardened towards Dharma. You want to get that feeling, that excitement feeling, like similar to some songs you might have heard, or I'll give you an example of some people like a certain music. When they hear it, they feel the goosebumps, right? That's the kind of feeling you want to generate. Then I mentioned the fact that you've gone through a couple of sessions. This is where it really begins, because before you learn how to meditate, how to devote to your guru, and all of those things, but now you got to bring that into practice. And then we started talking about morning practices and mantras to recite and evening practices. And I'll cover that a little bit. So I think it was the second class we really got into it. And then we'll go through class 2, and I'll cover that too a little bit. So in the morning practices, let's just kind of talk through that. This is a general advice. What I don't want you to get confused is there's too many things to remember, right? That's not the idea. The idea is people want to know, what should I do? And Lama Zopa Rinpoche said, if you don't do anything, at least kind of have some sort of a practice in place. So this is a general advice. You can get up in the morning and you can generate bodhicitta as soon as you wake up. Good to generate the mind of bodhicitta, right? Rejoicing the fact that you did not die, that you are living, and you could do something positive. Set the tone for the day. Then you get up in the morning and you can do some preliminary practices. And we talked about, there are many, many places. If you have the Gold Prayer Book, or in the Kadampa, we have many, you can take a look at it. It starts with daily practices, preliminary prayers. That's the first thing it starts with, right? So there are some things you can do to multiply mantra, to bless the mala, your speech, and it's very quick. You can go through it very, very in a very short manner, but it's good to get it starting to prep for the day. Then Lama Zopa Rinpoche suggests that we do prostrations. If you care to do the 35 Confession Buddha, there is a practice right in that book. So it's just after preliminary practice is 35 Confession Buddhas. And then optional, a lot of people like to do Vajrasattva in the evening, but it's optional. Do a little bit of Guru Yoga. If you don't have refuge, you can certainly do the Shakyamuni Buddha meditation, or just reading a little bit about it. And then do a Lamrim prayer, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then there are mantras to recite. You can do Om Mani Padme Hum, or you can do Medicine Buddha, or you can do Tara mantras. And you can do that with anything. When you're exercising, when you're walking around, in the back of your mind, you could be saying some mantras. They have a lot of power. And we discussed that in our class. Then you can dedicate, go on to your work or whatever you have to do. Then when you come back, you can do your evening practices. Do a little bit of reading of Lamrim. Again, if you want to do Vajrasattva, and then you dedicate. And then you go to sleep, right? So that's a pretty general practices. And there are different types of dedications, right? Some people like to do a big one. If you go to the Shanti Devas, we do it in our sessions, in our Sunday classes all the time, right? Shanti Devas dedication. There's also King of Prayers. It's a pretty lengthy one, but it's just a fantastic dedications. Okay, so you can take a look at that. And remember the Shanti Devas, if you just as a reminder, may all sentient beings everywhere, plagued by suffering of body, speech, and mind, may have ocean of happiness and joy and so forth. That's the one. It's a great dedication, right? And then you go to sleep. So that's very general, right? Then we talked about 6 preparatory practices. What are these? This is again shifting your mind, cleaning the plate, providing that energy to your mind. This is prepping for your meditation session, right? And so you're mentally preparing yourself to really get into a meditative state. So cleaning the place, and we talked about that at length in the class, that even Dalai Lama, who probably have 100 people available to clean his place, but he cleans himself. A lot of Rinpoches, they always clean every day. And think, what are you doing? You are telling yourself, I'm cleaning this place. I'm cleaning the dirt of my mind. And he gave a good story of that monk that his Buddha told him to go clean the yard, and then he became a monk and abbot. So cleaning the place, setting up an altar is important, right? It doesn't have to be fancy. If you don't have to go running out to the store and buying things, a simple picture of image of Buddha or statue is fine. You put your teachers, right? And then you want to have your holy books or Dharma practice books on the left side, and then your stupa or a picture or an image of a stupa on the right side. You can make it elaborate if you want to. The idea is to not make it too, too many things, right? You want to keep it simple. So this is a place where it's your sanctuary, right? You want to go and feel comfortable and good about it. And then some common things, you don't want to put it by your feet in the bedroom, right? Just as a thought, right? You can put it on the side. Anyways, and also check up on your lighting and food habits and such, so you're not drinking 4 cups of coffee and then wanting to relax and get your mind calm, and you wonder why your mind is racing, right? You had just 4 cups of coffee. So kind of remember that kind of things. And if you need to have something so you can meditate, that's fine. But some people, you just make your decision based on how you feel. You don't want to make a place so you fall asleep again, and you want it so bright that you feel like you're all excited about it, just somewhere in the middle, neutral. And then you sit in your meditation posture, generating the mind of refuge and bodhicitta, invoking the merit field, and do your 7 limb prayers and making requests. And if you remember the 7 limb prayer, anybody kind of remember? It's very simple. The idea is to think about these things in your mind. You can say this, you've done in literally 1 minute. If you say it, I reverently prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, right? I offer all things actual and imagined. You can say that. I confess all my negative actions. I rejoice you can rejoice for somebody, rejoicing. And then you can say, you can request teachers to stay and turn the wheel of Dharma, right? And then request to teach, and then finally dedicate. You can do 7 prayers very quickly like that. Okay, and remember, when you do prostrations, it overcomes pride. Making offering, it overcomes miserliness. When you're confessing, you overcome the 3 poisons: the ignorance, the attachment, and the aversion. You rejoicing overcomes jealousy, and the rest you're just requesting your teacher to stay. And remember, in our tradition, you request the teacher. We don't assume like how we assume in some of the cultures here, where you think the teacher is going to do what he or she is supposed to do, right? No. You request, you want the Dharma, so you request them, and they continue to teach, and then you dedicate. So that's one part of the preparatory practices. And then you want to do a mandala offering. You're taking the essence there. You offer a theoretical universe. And remember, if I had mentioned, if somebody were to say, you can become enlightened and you can become a Buddha, what would you offer to become a Buddha? What would you give? So you want to offer anything that's precious to you. You can offer the universe. And there's a beautiful 4 or 5 line prayer. right? And it says this ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha feel and offer it. And then say, may all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. You can take it a little further. You can say the object of my attachment, aversion, and ignorance, friends, enemies, strangers, my body, wealth, and enjoyments, I offer this. Please accept it with pleasure, and bless me with the freedom of from the three poisons. A beautiful mandala offering. And there's a little thing they put the fingers like this, like a lotus flower, the four continents, the Mount Meru. They kind of do this when we do a mandala offering through our teachers. So you can read that. These are all of these prayers are in the Golden Prayer Book, and they're very short. The idea is not how quickly you can do it, and that's not what I mean to say when I'm saying short. It's a double side, right? In the beginning, try to pay attention to what is it that you're doing. It may take a little longer, but once you know it, all you have to do is say these words, and they trigger that memory muscle. It will take you right there, right? So in the beginning, it seems like, okay, I got to do the 6 preparatory practices, and what am I supposed to do? Number 1 and number 2. Don't get into that. The idea is clean place, do good offerings, multiply it, make it large. Just do your 7 limb prayers. Often the mandala, request teachers to teach, right? Do prostrations, and then you sit down for your meditation. It's not that long, but you can do that every day. And what is the purpose of all this? 1 of these and a 7 of that, mostly to integrate Dharma into your mind. You're preparing your mind to welcome these teachings to you and changing that mindset that has been, I don't know, habituated with so many other mundane thoughts, right? If you think about our daily living, how we do and what we've been taught, this is like almost like upside down way of thinking, right? You're just preparing and turning into some positive thoughts and Dharma practice. And the last one, of course, I mentioned, the flow, your teach, and it's so lucky in our center to have Deshala teach us. It's just tremendous how lucky we are, right? And then, of course, we can do some Lamrim prayers. Any questions on this so far? Yeah, Jeevan.
2 questions. So I'm trying to figure out for the when you do offering and then the dedication, what's the best way, the best thing to have in your mind when you're doing that? It sounds like you mentioned with the offerings 2 pieces of advice. So think about what you would give to become enlightened, or offer the world as you wish it were. So that's helpful. But what about for the dedication? When you're, I guess the idea is whatever positive merit you've accumulated with this, you want to take that and then use it to propel forward to do something good with that, right?
Right. So dedication is steering your energy forward, right? It is really taking this energy so it continues to happen. You're dedicating it that way. It's also external to you. If you want to really look at it, instead of holding it for me, it really encompasses larger world, everything. So it happens positively. Now, offering. Mandala offering there's a whole practice of mandala offering. There's a 3-tier bowls, and you can offer things and there are prayers to it. But in general, when you're doing the 7 limb prayer or making the offerings, you can do the bowls. So you see in the Kadampa, they do the 8 bowls. Water bowls. That's the kind of offering, right? You're offering water to drink, water to wash the feet, then flour, then incense, then light, then good smell, right? And then food, thinking about all the things you can offer. And then, of course, music. That's one way of offering. When you're offering mandala, you are basically just generating a thought in your hand, like I was just giving you that little prayers. This ground anointed with perfume. Think about if you are a Buddha, what would that be like? Offer up everything you can. You have something precious you want to offer up. Just realize this is all temporary stuff we have that we've been latching on to, right? But you can mentally offer it, right? So that you can gain enlightenment, so you can get the Dharma into your body. So it's the one way of looking at it. But you can do it so many different ways. Even in seven limb prayer, simply, even if you put one flower or visualize, right, lotus, you can visualize thousands of them. Like you can visualize beings just offering flower to your deity, Shakyamuni Buddha. It just generates openness, giving, generosity.
Yeah.
Right? It
Yeah,
develops.
it's kind of silly, but to me, if I was enlightened, I wouldn't really care about these physical things, right?
Right. So
So,
here's the answer to that. You are not offering it to Buddha per se. You're changing your mind to
yeah,
positive. You are going to become a Buddha. So you are developing a mind that does this naturally. Right now, we self-cherish. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to bow down to anybody. I don't have time. I earned this. I am so and so, right? This is what happens. This is a way of practice that humbles us. It develops a mind that develops generosity, morality, patience, giving, right? Takes away miserliness when you offer something, takes away jealousy. All those negative qualities that we have right now, you're trying to diminish this by doing this practice. That's the way it works, right? If it's an amazing practice. You just go in front, sit down, and you're prepping your mind, and you're asking Buddha, please, I want to be enlightened. And it requires a lot of undoing that we carry in our mind right now, right? So these are little things you do on a daily basis. Eventually, it becomes second nature to you. Then what happens? You develop that nature. When you see somebody, you see it differently. Put it this way: you'll have more bodhicitta, more compassion, more kindness. When you give something, you're not giving it with expectations. So you develop these positive qualities in your mind. That's the whole idea behind this, okay?
yeah,
So don't look at Buddha here and me here right now. These are practices. There are Buddhas all around us. There are probably millions of them. But right now, this is a practice to develop your mind. The object of your prayer is a Shakyamuni Buddha who gave us Dharma. So he's an enlightened being. Good to have that quality so you can focus there. But you're developing your mind. You're integrating all these things into your own mind. And why? So eventually you will become your own Buddha. That's the point.
yeah. Okay.
Right? Okay, and then again, we've already done the preparatory practices. Make sure you have a motivation. Do the actual meditation. And remember, Geshe-la even talked about different kinds of meditation, right? Calm abiding, concentration is sit on your cushion and do that, right? The position, how you sit down, breathing, that kind of thing, and just concentration on one object. But then there's review meditation, and we kind of talked about that, and I'll cover it again. To review a topic, you'll go through a Lamrim topic, and you can review those topics. And then the third kind is analytical, something that's just not making sense to you, and you got to get to the bottom of it till it becomes, I got it. Right? So those are different types of meditation you can do. And then obviously you want to take all of this and steer that energy forward. And so that's why we dedicate. Okay. And then in class 3, we talked about the graduated path to enlightenment. So we talked about Lamrim Chenmo, right, by Lama Tsongkhapa. And then we talked about how Atisha was invited to Tibet. And he found that there was Buddhist practice going on, but then they had lost the path somewhere, They had lost the plot. And people were doing all kinds of things here and there. There was 84,000 teachings. How do you kind of bring it together? So he structured it into this nice little concise, think of the lamp of the path. And then Lama Tsongkhapa in 14th century really expounded on Buddha's teaching in the structure that Lama Atisha had started. And he put Lamrim together, right? And I mentioned that there are 3 big volumes. You can see this here, and it's called The Great Treatise on the Stages of the Path to Enlightenment. And every topic that you cover in Lamrim has 3 scopes. The first scope is kind of preparatory for people who of lower capacity. They're just beginning right now. They just need to be prepared. Second scope takes you to the next step. And then the third scope is where you learn about the 6th perfection and bodhicitta and so forth. So it goes through a very nice guru devotion, then precious human rebirth, and then death and impermanence. It kind of preps you up like, oh my gosh, death and impermanence. It wakes you up. And then you think about the different realms, mental states. And then you say, I need to follow this. I need to do something. So you take refuge. Then you learn about karma. That's a huge subject. And then you talk about 4 noble truths and types of suffering and how do I get out of this, renunciation. And then you get into the third scope where you learn about equanimity and bodhicitta and the 6 perfections and wisdom of emptiness. Right? So it's very nicely organized. And so it's important to know that even when you look at the liberation in palm of your hand, simply look at the content, it follows the Lamrim. Those are meditation manuals in a way. If you get interested in something, you can get right to it until it's explained. Now, you'll find that in Lamrim, in Liberation in Palm of Your Hand, some topics are pretty thick. It was meant for monks who do this 24 hours a day. So don't get too worried about that. But some other pieces are fantastic, a beautiful storyline. It tells you exactly what to do, how to do. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. It goes through different topics. So if at least start slowly. Read 1 chapter, read 1 topic, pick up the next day. You don't have to cram the entire thing in 1 day. It doesn't work that way. I also said there are outlines available for Lamrim. You can always look at that. So a couple of ways to do it, right? And I also mentioned how to meditate on Lamrim. Take 1 topic, right? 1 topic. I think I have 1 or 2 slides that I showed last time on precious human rebirth and death. And we'll talk about it. And then we think about 8 freedoms, 10 richnesses, 9-point death meditation, right? And so I will just take a look at that. Just what I just covered, right? Just become familiar with the outline. So when you start with precious human rebirth and 8 freedoms, then you can go sit on it for a week or 2, take 1 or 2 points, and only take those points that are applicable to you, that resonate with you. Okay, each topic, each line, and we'll take a look at that. For example, take a look at number 3, freedom from being born in the animal realm. This is one of the freedoms we have. We can relate to that, right? We see animals. And you can see sometimes the anxiety, the hunger, they cannot talk, they cannot practice, right? And if you see the animals outside, think of the suffering. Look at the birds, always looking up who's going to kill them, right? So you can think that you're not there, okay? Freedom from being born in a place where there's no dharma. And we talked about that. Just go to think about North Korea or whatever, Afghanistan or wherever you want to go, where you cannot practice. Right? I mean, some people don't have want to know about hungry ghost and all that, but at least we can think about 1 or 2 things that can resonate with you. Sit on it, think about it very clearly, and see if you feel that anguish in you. That, oh my goodness, I am really lucky. And I have these richnesses. I'm a human being. I have a well-functioning body and mind. I have some faith in Dharma. And Dharma exists and flourishes. I'm able to meet pure followers of Buddha's teachings and have kind support from practitioners. At least those you can resonate with that. Right? Take 1 or 2 points and think about it for a while. Sit on it, go around and keep it in your day, 2 days, 3 days, and just kind of think about it. Look at examples. And then it will click why this is precious human rebirth. Same way, again, the very second topic in Lamrim is the death and impermanence. So we know death is certain. We know the time of the death is uncertain. And we can think about it, right? You can sit on it and say, the minute you're born, you're really dying. And you deny that. We age every single moment. Things are impermanent. Things change. And dharma is you're developing a positive seeds in your mind. And when you come close to the death, what's going to happen? Fear takes over, right? If you don't have dharma, you'll be in a lot of fear. But if you have some confidence and some faith in it, maybe the thoughts you will carry with you are positive, and those seeds will ripen in future. That's the point. And again, in Buddhism, you can be free from the dissatisfied mind. You don't have to age. You don't have to get sick. That's what Buddha is saying. Four Noble Truths. There is suffering. There is a reason for suffering, cause for suffering, right? Then there is a way out of it, right? And he can show the path. Then he shows us the path. Then lastly, we talked about generating the experience, glance meditations. Actually, I found really interesting that I was thinking about looking at the Lamrim text and looking at the content. But if you go to page 149, just write this down. If you want to, in a gold prayer book, you can even make a copy. It is called, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'll tell you, it's called A Glance Meditation on All Important Points of Lamrim. It is in the prayer book. And it really is short and sweet. One front, back, and maybe 3 lines on the third page. It walks you through the entire Lamrim in short. Foundation of all good qualities is a fantastic prayer. I always suggest people, one almost kind of pushing it, but I'm not. But if you can do it, it is very powerful. It is done in a prayer form. Please bless me. Please, end of every paragraph, it covers every single Lamrim points. And in the end, it ends with, please bless me with that. Let me have it. Please let me learn this. Let me be familiar with it. It's a very, very powerful way of doing. So it triggers experiences. And if you've done those meditations, we talked about sitting on precious human rebirth or thinking of those points, what will happen is you just have to look at the very first line, and this life is rare. It's like a bubble. You think of, oh, precious human rebirth, right? You will think about how life goes very quickly and think, oh, death and impermanence. It will click very quickly. So it becomes, and then when you get it, hold on to that aha moment. Sit on it for a while, go deeper, become familiar with it. And then you'll find that all these topics are interwoven. Okay, so anyways, and then make your own plan. What this means is, you don't have to say, I have to do this and this and this. There are a few things in the preparatory practices you can do in the beginning. That is clean the place, nice altar, sit down in a good position, make sure your mind is clear, make some offerings, and do your meditation. But then when you do it, and what else you want, which mantras you want to do, what do you want to do in the evening, you can kind of make a flow, and you don't have to cram everything. Do a little bit, but do good quality. And then as you get deeper, expand on it. There is no given set that you must do all these things at one time. It's not possible for some people, but you can incorporate this in daily life. Okay, it sets up a beautiful tone for the day. You're always rushing, right? We're always running out to doing other things, new things, other things, responsibilities we have. But take a little time for your Dharma practice because you're really benefiting your own mind. So what's new now? See, okay, and if I don't cover something, then we'll cover it next classes. We have sufficient time between the next 2 classes, okay, to cover everything I have to mention. So So we're going to talk a little bit about protecting our mind. So when we talk about meditation, we're always thinking about cushion time, sitting on the cushion. We are really not talking about what happens off the cushion. And that's very important, right? So we got to talk about that a little bit. And then feeding the Dharma practice, all the activities you can do that feeds your practice regularly. You're always putting in that energy, that premium gas that when you need it in the middle of the day. How you can make it as part of your life. Okay? There are a couple of ways to do it, and we'll cover that. Okay, protecting the mind. You think about this, what kind of culture we have. Look at when you go to the grocery store, the magazines that are by the cashiers, People magazines, SU and Sun, all gossipy, right? Rich people getting divorced. Somebody lost their money. Somebody killed somebody. Okay, all these kind of things. And then think about anytime something happens, we find how can we take revenge? Blame somebody. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says there's nothing to blame outside but your mind. You create reality for yourself. So protect your mind, right? Gotcha culture, we have that all the time. And then we'll talk about lam-rim color glasses and walking meditation in a minute. I just want you to do this. This is 8 verses of training of the mind. It is also in your beautiful prayer book. And I think it's on page 161. I'm just going to cover 2 parts, just to give you an idea. Okay, so first one, it says, by thinking of all sentient beings as more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the highest aim, I will always hold them dear. Now look at the third one. In my every action, I will watch my mind, and the moment destructive emotions arise, I will confront them strongly and avert them, since they will hurt both me and others. Now, this is a powerful statement. Some people like to put it right on their wall or in the refrigerator, and you watch your mind. And there are ways to do it. There's so many ways people kind of practice this, and we'll take a look at it, see what I have here. Before we go here, let me just talk a little bit about that. You can think, some people have little sayings all over the house. Some people have different ways. They just have a trigger words. For example, I'm not proposing that you go tattoo, but some people use tattoos, never give up. Some people will have a statement on the refrigerator, be brave, right? It triggers something. Okay, it really resonates. Like I can remember my example when I used to go to work. I'm retired now, and then I work from home for a couple of months. But when I used to go to work, 8 o'clock, the traffic is horrendous. And somebody cuts you, right? Somebody's driving slow, they're putting their makeup on. You can see the anger come, right? You want to do all kind of actions, right? But what you do is see it rising and remember these words. I will watch my mind. I will confront these negative actions strongly. And you know what I should do? Anytime that came up, I used to hit myself on the leg and say, stop it. I would just say it, stop it, loudly. And then say, okay, maybe this person is going for interview. They want to go faster than I do. Maybe this person didn't have time to do something as going to a meeting. Let it be. All of a sudden, I find myself like, let it be. So I kind of control that anger. Still, it stays there for a few minutes, but then it goes away, right? So I used to do things like that. So we can do little things, whatever works for you. So it's all about trying to integrate practice and keep it going. Because you do your meditation session, as soon as you leave, go to work, put on your clothes, or go to school, whatever you do, what happens? Dharma stays there, feels a little good for a while, and then somebody says something to you on the phone, and there goes the whole chain of thoughts. But when you practice few things, you can pause. You can be a little more mindful before you say. You think before you speak. And then what happens, it kind of manages your mind, right? So there's one small things you can do. And then a couple other things you can do. Some people, we can talk about that at another time, but lamrim color glasses. Take a topic, say precious human rebirth, and look around. When you go to grocery store, look at people that look worn out. Okay? And you can think, oh, I'm so lucky to have a precious human rebirth. I can practice Dharma. Little thought. Okay? Or you can see impermanence, or you can see dependent arising. For example, you see an apple, and it says, oh my goodness, this apple is here that I can purchase because somebody put it there and cleaned it. There were truck people who brought it. There were farmers who grew it. There were farmers who had the tree. Somebody had to plant it. It goes on and on and on, right? And you can see how dependent arising works, and you are thankful. Okay? So you can go to different places and put on a glass of lamrim, take a topic of karma, death and impermanence. Impermanence is another one. Just look around and say, there are all kinds of stories about Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to do to the students, Even the 7-year master's program, he would tell the students to write down, did they have any anguish? Did they practice any antidotes? He would ask them all these questions, and they had to take note. Did you do something positive? Did you rejoice? Take some notes. Some people keep a little like a journal, or a little diary, and they write down all the vows that they take, and then they see how much they fulfilled and how negative actions came. Little things, it's triggers. You watch news and your mind goes somewhere else, right? A mail comes and your mind goes somewhere else. Somebody has a different tone and your mind goes. How many times our mind goes into the negative side? But also rejoice when it goes positive. You're thankful. Somebody gave you a hug. You gave somebody a hug. You bought somebody lunch. You were mindful driving. There are many things to rejoice. So you write down. Matter of fact, some monks still practice. They keep white stones and black stones in their pocket. If they do something negative, they have to put the black stones. And then they do something good, they put the white stones in their pocket. And at the end of the day, they have to see which pocket is heavy. Okay, all kinds of ways to practice. These are just little things you can do. I'm not saying you have to do this, but just do. And walking meditation. Let's talk about that a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm thinking about like a little homework. Find a place, kind of look at it, make sure you're not running into things, like an open place or a pathway, and you know where you're going and coming back. And do a slow walking meditation first, every little step, and do a practice on impermanence, like a homework. Just look and see this carpet is changing. Oh my goodness, that stain was not there before. The walls are crumbling, the paint is coming off. Then look outside. The leaves are falling. Oh, the new leaves are coming. It's springtime now. So look around you. You are aging. Look at your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, whoever you have. They are changing. Look at your own life, how you were a few years ago. Where are you today? Do a little practice. Just think of how things are impermanent. A very nice practice. Walk in the house. Just look around. Your coffee pot, when it was brand new, how did it look like? A new car, what did that look like? And then what happens after the first rock hits it? It's gone. I'll take care of it later, right? Things change all the time. And that's a good thing, right? Because things change, we can change. So that's an impermanence for you. So you can do this very mindfully. There's a practice of vipassana. They walk deliberately very slow, and they look at every single thing and internalize, and they take a topic and think through that. What happens once you've done that? You can take your broad steps and walk normally, but what will happen is it will trigger. Then when you go in the regular day, something will happen and you see leaves falling in the fall, and it says, impermanence. And you can see new flowers coming out, saying that's impermanence. They were not there, and now the new flowers. So there's change going on, and you will start to appreciate life around you. and see even simple things like that. It will, again, it takes care of a Lamrim topic. It helps your mind, and you can practice it very easily. So this is one thing you can do with Lamrim color glasses and walking meditation. Just pick a topic, walk around, put that glasses on, and look at the world from that angle. Okay, we talked about other helpful activities, like some people make notes, some people put placards, bumper, even the license plates. What Donna Cease had one, what self, somebody had no mind. You can put all kinds of stuff like that. You can say Om. Some people put Om on it. Body, speech, and mind reminds you of you need to have pure body, speech, and mind. So Vajrasattva practice. Some people do all kinds of little things. We have a nice little those magnets. Do something good, right? Things change. That's a fact. There's a T-shirt out there for sale right now in Kadampa Center. So these are little sayings you can do. Do a self-evaluation practices, which we just talked about. Look at your day and see how many good things you did. Where did you lose your mind a little bit here and there? And why? Kind of think through that. Maybe it will help to apply an antidote. So this is everyday dharma, right? Then we talk about living in the vows. And there are 5 lay vows, typical: not killing, not lying, no sexual misconduct, no intoxication. You don't have to take every single vow, but you can practice some of those vows of refuge. Then you can also take precepts, and we'll talk about precepts maybe next time. We're going to go to the meditation in about 2 minutes, and then prayer wheels. You can always spin the prayer wheel, and there's millions of mantras in there. And the idea is it generates this positive air around you. And don't forget to rejoice at the end of the day. You also do so many good things. We always talk about the negative things, but also rejoice. It is very powerful. There was a little joke of Ribu Rinpoche. When Pabonka Rinpoche was talking about all these details about rejoicing and the benefits of rejoicing, Ribu Rinpoche was laughing at the end. And he says, "Why are you laughing?" He says, "I'm rejoicing in all your rejoicing." So he just made it very short for himself. Yes, I'm rejoicing in all those things you talked about. And he was laughing. See, I'm so smart. Like, for example, but rejoice, be happy sometimes. You've done something good, pat yourself in the back. Okay? And please note, difficulties will come. Why? Because we have karma. But if your mind is in a good place, you can manage it and things will happen. Okay, with that in mind, I will cover the yoga of eating and yoga of sleeping next time. The meditation is, it will take 15 to 20 minutes. I'll try my best to finish on time here, okay? So, okay, so let's get into the meditation position. Let's set the motivation for this meditation. This is the meditation on Shakyamuni Buddha practice, Lamrim meditation on precious human rebirth. And just note, we've been talking about precious human rebirth, Lamrim glasses, how to do daily practice, how you can take this 1 or 2 aspects of the richnesses and you can go out and practice. So this is a good way to think about this meditation. Also, it's a good way to think about precious human rebirth. So let's begin by getting into that position again. Spine is straight. Take a deep breath in and out. And call to the mind the motivation that we generated earlier. Our innate wish to be helpful. Our innate wish to stop suffering for ourselves and for others. Our innate wish to experience unending happiness and to be able to share that with others. And our wish to be guided and protected and blessed in order to be able to accomplish our goals. So now we'll do the meditation. So, and especially with the wish to recognize this opportunity for our lives and not waste it. This practice and meditation on precious human rebirth, we're about to begin. So invite to this place all teachers, imagining that they merge together and take an aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha, the radiant sun of Dharma. Feel Shakyamuni Buddha's presence as much as possible. And generate the mind of refuge by remembering what we are afraid of, what we hope to become, and looking to all enlightened beings, their teachings, the community of helpers who have seen reality directly, completely entrusting ourselves to their care. And remember to our wish to help others, and especially taking the responsibilities for the happiness of others. See the urgency of developing our mind as quickly as possible with the mind of bodhicitta. 7-limb practice. Then to prepare our mind for meditation, doing the 7-limb prayer. Recognize a quality within Shakyamuni Buddha that we ourselves wish to develop and making prostration to that. And then making offerings to that. Admitting a mistake that we've made with a resolve to do it differently next time. Rejoicing in the goodness of ourselves and others. And requesting our teachers to stay in our lives and teach us. And dedicating all the positive energy to that enlightenment. Now making requests, especially in our hearts, requesting Shakyamuni Buddha, the essence of the enlightened activity, to please bless our minds and to generate quickly the realizations of the path, especially the precious human rebirth. Shakyamuni Buddha then comes to the crown of our heads and stays there to bless our mind for this meditation. So let's begin the Lamrim meditation with the first 2 verses of Lamrim, the foundation of all good qualities. Thinking of these verses as a further request to Shakyamuni Buddha, imagining that as we recite the verse, we receive both white nectar light purification, clearing away those things that block our minds from generating the realization, and the golden light, giving us the very essence of the realization within our mind. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and a venerable Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. And by clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful, is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes this essence. To meditate on the precious human rebirth, first recognize the situation that we find ourselves in. Currently, this is a richness. Currently, we have a human life. We have intelligence. We have strength still in our bodies. We have some inclination for spiritual practices. More than just having faith in those practices, we actually have some interest to put them into practice ourselves. And we are free from being involved in any extreme negativity in our lives. We live in a place and in a time where the sun of Buddha's teachings is still alive, the sun rays. We are still in the age of Buddha's teachings existing in this world. Not only do Buddha's teachings exist in the world, but people are still gaining experience and freedom by putting them into practice. And there are still places to go and receive the teachings. And there are still people who support these teachings. And if we think about it, with all this richness in our life, there is nothing to stop us from freedom. There is nothing standing in our way. For us, it's only a matter of making effort. If you think about the freedoms, if we think about even just the human beings in this world, over 8 billion human beings in all various countries where they live, in all various situations of life that they find themselves in. And of all those 8 billion human beings, how many of them even live in a place where they could meet the Dharma? Where they could even hear the word enlightenment or freedom. And even in those countries where Dharma is available, it is just a small little pockets. In one big city, there might be few Dharma centers. It's so small. And of those who hear these teachings, how many have interest? And of all those who have met these teachings, and how many actually pursue the teachings? This situation that I find myself is extremely rare. It is not common in this world to even think like this. So what am I going to do with it? What is it possible to achieve with my life? Many people have some deep-seated aspiration, some suspicion that another reality, another experience of life is possible. But they have not met the method. But we have met the method. And what am I going to do with it? And people around me are suffering from sickness, aging, death, dissatisfied mind, mental and physical diseases all the time. I have come into contact with the teachings that claim they can stop all of these sufferings forever. How can I not try to pursue them? If there is some opportunity that I had to stop the death of all living beings, to stop the war, to stop famine, to stop the disease, and I were not to try, how unfortunate that would be. And how lucky I am. Having practiced generosity and morality and patience, and especially making prayers. And I prayed to receive this life. I've prayed to have this opportunity. I have prayed to have this view. I have prayed to meet these teachings. And I have prayed for method to fulfill my deepest longings. I have prayed to perfect my mind. Now all causes and conditions have come together. In this life, my prayers have been answered, and what am I going to do with it? And so repeating the second verse of the prayer, understanding that the precious human freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again, please bless me to generate the mind that unceasingly, day and night, takes its essence. And so ask Shakyamuni Buddha from the depth of our hearts to please bless us to recognize this precious opportunity that we have found, to not forget it, and to use it to the best of our abilities, and recognizing that nothing stands in our way of freedom to enlightenment. All we have to do is make effort. How lucky we are. Then the verse goes on to say that life is impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After death, just like the shadow follows the body, the results of black and white karma follows. finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful and to abandon even the slightest negativities and accomplish all virtuous deeds. And it goes on to say, seeking samsaric pleasures is a door to suffering. They are uncertain and cannot be relied upon. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to generate the strong wish for the bliss of liberation. And now, led by these pure thoughts, mindfulness, alertness, and a great caution arise. And the root of the teachings is keeping the vows. Please bless me to train in supreme bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. And even if I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 types of morality, I will not achieve enlightenment. And we learned about the 3 moralities in the definition: restraining from wrongdoing, accumulating merit, and benefiting other sentient beings. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice bodhisattva vows with great pleasure. Once I've pacified distractions to all wrong objects and correctly analyzed the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream the unified path of calm abiding and special insight. In all my lives, please bless me that I be never separated from perfect gurus, and may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the path. May I quickly attain the state of Buddha. Glorious, precious, kind Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat on my crown. Bestow upon me the attainments of your holy body, speech, and mind. And hearing this, Shakyamuni Buddha is extremely pleased with the effort that we made and promises to remind us of our precious human life and help us take advantage of this precious opportunity. So now, Shakyamuni Buddha melts into a stream of golden light and descends in our heart, becoming inseparably mixed with our minds. Our body and mind are pervaded by this golden light, and the potential of our lives is fulfilled. We are transformed into pure being of golden light, abiding in the world solely for the purpose of benefiting others, and that's me. Imagine what that would actually feel like. Let's dedicate. Then dedicating any positive energy that we have generated during this meditation to the swift enlightenment of each and every living being, to the freedom from suffering in the world and beyond, the attainment of perfect happiness for all living beings, and that we ourselves might especially take advantage of this precious life that we have found. Develop all the realizations of the path within our mind, and quickly become exactly what is needed to benefit for all sentient beings. Okay, bring your attention back. Thank you. So you can see, you can take even the foundation of all good qualities, take a couple of paragraphs, and you can just meditate that way. Just reading them will trigger some of these thoughts. Okay, next session, next class, activities to bring success in our practices, accumulating merits, purification practices, requesting prayers and chants, some other forms of purification, and some requirements. And then how do we balance all this stuff? And following class will summarize in a very clear, concise way how to follow and what to do, okay? So I hope that we understand that just not on the cushion, but off the cushion, we can take advantage of all of our Lamrim teachings, put on those Lamrim specs, especially in the bright sun, and walk around with that positive mind. Take 1 or 2 topics and see the world and see how things are changing. And maybe if you get a chance in your home, if you have space, do a little walking meditation and just look at everything and look at impermanence. Okay? It is 8:15.
Thank you, Hemant.
Yeah, thanks very much, Hemant.
Thank you so much, Hemant.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Hemant.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you everyone for hanging in there.
See you next week.
Yes,
Good night.
Bye-bye.
bye-bye now.